So the big question is how do health experts like you and I generate more income, impact more people, and create businesses that work around their lifestyle and serve their family at the highest possible level? If you want the answer to that question, then you're in the right place at the right time. Whether you're a dietitian, a nutritionist, or a nutrition coach, this is for you. My name is Dr. Javier Carlin, and I want to welcome you to the Practice Revolution. We are a movement that is revolutionizing the way private practices are built so you can practice on your terms. So go ahead and join us and follow along as we learn, apply, and share the top business growth strategies that we're using to grow our own business and to help you grow yours, using only the best insights and advice from top industry leaders. So thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the show.
Welcome everyone. My name is Kaylee and I'm a registered dietitian and head coach here at the Practice Revolution. Here at the Practice Revolution, what we do is we help dietitians and nutrition coaches replace their income, break free of their job, and get to the point where they're making 5 to 10K a month or more in their business. So if that's you, then you're in the right place at the right time. So I'm excited to be here with you all. You guys will see here that I'm with a special guest today. So hi, Laurie. Actually, I don't know if you guys will see that yet, but you'll see here in a second when she starts talking. But hi, Laurie, welcome.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. So, but go ahead and give Laurie a warm welcome. So Laurie is she's a current student in her Freedom Sprint, and she started in the Freedom Sprint and grew her business and filled up her one-on-one calendar in just a few months. And she's absolutely crushing it. We were just talking right before, and she's even built up a little group program too on top of her one-on-one, which has been so very, very cool, Laurie, to see your path and your growth as you've gone through the Freedom Sprint and worked with us over the last several months. So today, Laurie's going to be sharing some insights with you guys that she's learned and hopefully inspire you guys to dream big. So Laurie, I'll stop talking now and I'll let everyone get to hear your experience because I'm sure that's what everyone really wants to hear. But Laurie, just to get started, why don't you just tell us how long you've been a dietitian and what setting you used to work in or work in now?
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having me. So I've been a dietitian now for almost 18 years. Scary to say that. And I started out like everybody in clinical because that's what they tell you you're supposed to do, gain experience and learn, which, I look back on it and I do think it served its purpose in my career path. And I did that for about 8 years. And then I actually transitioned to a sales role where I worked with a global formula company that I'm sure a lot of you probably are familiar with. And I was there for another 8 years and it was wonderful. It was great, but it was corporate America. And while there was great flexibility, there was also, different challenges that came into play. And I was just at a crossroad, some personal things going on in my family, and I just had another baby. And I was just mentally, I just couldn't, handle the pressure of meeting these quotas and just dealing with the corporate America mindset. So I decided to take a little break, spend some time with my family. I actually spoke to Marissa years ago while I was in my sales role, and I was contemplating doing something like this in addition to my full-time job at that time. And, I think that looking back, I probably wasn't 100% committed and ready, which caused me to stall on the process, but it was always something in the back of my head. In the meantime, I am always looking for not the next best thing, but something to just stimulate me professionally. So I ended up becoming a certified personal trainer in that time. And I became a fitness coach at Orange Theory Fitness a local studio right by my house. So I was doing that in addition to working full time. And I built up a pretty decent following just through the Orange Theory community, especially because of the local studios around me that I was coaching at. And people were constantly asking, they knew I was a dietitian and they would ask, do you see clients? Do you see clients? And I kept turning them down. In fact, I kept referring them to other virtual practice dietitians that I followed on Instagram. And after a while, I said to myself, I'm literally throwing money away. I am helping other people's businesses bloom and flourish. And I could be doing this. I have the credentials. Why am I not doing this? And that's when I got back in touch with Marissa again. And, we decided to make that investment because it was just at that time, I left my corporate America job. And I just felt like, this gives me the flexibility to be a mom, be a wife, spend time with my kids, be at home, but also professionally grow and learn and make some money, which is what we all want to do at the end of the day. So that's pretty much what got me to this journey. Kaylee, I hope that answered the question.
Yes, absolutely.
On a tangent.
No, that was so good. And, I'm sure there's so many people in this group who can relate to certain parts of your story too, where, working for either corporate America or working in that full-time job, and then just kind of knowing like, oh, I don't really agree with some of the things that they say or some of those policies that they have in place. And, I commend you for knowing when to take a step back and step down from a role like that, because, that's something that not everyone has the, what's the word I'm looking for here, but not everyone has like the drive to do that. Right. And so it's, inspiring just to hear like that it's okay to take a step back from those things that are no longer serving you, but also like to see as your following started to build too, that there was this other opportunity for you too. And, now you were able to start seeing some of those people for you versus, sending them to other people, which is great. It's all well and good that you were helping other businesses flourish too. But to even think like, oh, these people are asking me for help, and you had the means, you had the credentials to do so. And so I love that you decided that it was a good time for you to actually take the plunge, even though you had been thinking about starting your business for a while, but to actually take the plunge and go all in and really do it. So for you, Laurie, what were some of those initial steps? Like when you did decide, okay, I'm ready to go all in and get my business started, what were some of those first steps that you took when you went to set up your business?
So honestly, I think that was always my biggest obstacle. And I think connecting with you guys and enrolling in the program definitely helped catapult those first steps for me, because I'm the type of person that, and I'm sure there's a lot of other dietitians that are on this call that are, those type A, like you want to get all of your ducks in a row and then launch. And I remember having many conversations with you, Kaylee, and you just kept saying, you have to just do it. You have to just do it. And it's so true. Like nothing is ever going to be perfect. Like you want to create the most perfect plan and program for your clients, but it's going to take trial and error. And even in just like 4 months of starting my programs, I've already learned so much that I'm going to change the next enrollment period and so on and so forth. So the first few steps was basically just, I had to keep myself accountable, and I had to, my main social media platform I use is Instagram. So I had to put it out there, and I had to create my first post and say, Boss Babe Bootcamp is launching on May 1st. And I had to do that because if I didn't, I would keep pushing it back. So that I think was the first step, is giving yourself a deadline, knowing that you have until this date to, try and create some content. But again, I created most of it as I was going. But create a little bit of content to get you started and basically build your business. And I think the step-by-step process that the Freedom Sprint program through the workbook, like I help statement, just like your business plan in general, like your pillars and what you're looking to do, it just helps create a clearer vision. Whereas somebody who I don't have a business background. I'm more, I'm a dietitian. Most of us don't have business backgrounds, even though I understand the business world and worked in a business sort of capacity at some point. This is really all foreign to me. So I think working through that workbook and step by step and really having a clear vision of who you want to help and drilling down, that is also one of the first steps I had to take, because you want to help everybody and you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. And you think, oh, am I too specific on my niche that I'm going to be losing clients and not making as much money as I want to? Because, I help basically like women over 30 lose weight. And I had men who were members at my gym saying, oh, well, I'd like to count macros. I'd like to work with you. And I had to kindly say, I'm only currently working with women. But, I still have a tough time doing that, because I'm like, oh man, like I feel bad. Like he really needs help and I'd love to help him. And, you see the dollar signs, but, Kaylee has always helped me sort of just stay focused on like who I'm helping, my population. And so it's really just drilling down, knowing what and who you want to serve, and giving yourself that date of like, I'm launching on this date. So be prepared, people, and just start creating content and advertising yourself so that people are aware that this is coming. The day is coming.
That's such good advice, Laurie. That's so good. So good for everyone to hear. And I love that. I mean, there's just so much gold that you said in there. There's no way I could break all of it down in the short amount of time that we have, but it was just so good to hear you say, like, to just start, to just take that action, whether you think it's perfect or not right now, you're going to perfect it over time. You're going to make it better. And you just need to set that date of like, what, this is what I'm going to launch, regardless of whether or not it's perfect. Because the longer I wait, the longer I look back and think, wow, I wish I would have started sooner. Why didn't I start then? And so I love that you took that action, you gave yourself that date, and you followed the steps, and you stayed focused. And that's how you grow, right? That's how you grow. And one of these days you might add on a facet to your business where you do help men, and that's awesome. But for right now, when you're not there, you just want to stay focused like a laser. Just stay laser focused, and you'll grow so much further and so much faster than dispersing all of that energy in 10 different directions. So that's such good advice. I'm sure if anyone in here is like who's watching right now, if you guys are watching and this is making sense to you and this is inspiring you or motivating you to just start that date. So Laurie, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit about the population that you work with now, but tell us a little bit about who I know you mentioned women. Tell us who you work with and how you decided to work with that population.
Sure. So I work with basically, my help statement. I help women learn to love their bodies without restricting the food that they love. So I really trust and believe in the process of counting macros. I feel that it allows, the least amount of restriction, and it's more of like a lifestyle rather than a diet. So I do teach them about counting macros, but, through the 12-week program that I've created, my goal at the end of the 12 weeks is that, tracking macros, this is all a tool. And throughout the 12 weeks, I throw in different tools and resources for them to add to their toolbox. But at the end of all of this, I want you to become more intuitive and learn how to create your plates, focusing on protein and fruits and vegetables, and, so that you're not tracking for a lifetime. So it's macro counting with the goal of becoming more of an intuitive eater towards the end of the program. So most of my population, obviously they're all women, and most of them are over 30. And I think being a fitness coach and having these relationships with a lot of these members, which I would say 90% of my clients at this point are through Orange Theory. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And, I've known them for years. They've seen me pregnant again, now I'm pregnant again. And, they've seen me in all these different stages of life. And, I think that, you got to practice what you preach. And so I'm able to connect with them because some of them are postpartum, some of them are trying to get pregnant, some of them are, their kids are grown and they just never really got back to feeling as good as they did before they had all their kids. So, it's being able to connect with all these different women at their different stages of life. And, at the end of the day, I have to say is I think that when they like you, they're going to want to work with you. So, it's not always all business and all nutrition talk, but, you end up like building a really good relationship with these people that you're talking to on a weekly basis. And sometimes they're telling you their deepest, darkest secrets from some childhood trauma that is related to food. And, yes, you do become somewhat of a therapist at some point in the process, but, it's also part of the process of them like healing through and just growing and having a better relationship with food.
Yeah.
So it's mostly women I work with, mostly over 30, like I said, but in terms of, their goals are really always to improve their body composition. And that's really the goal of my program as well. Yes, everybody wants to see a different number on the scale, a lower number on the scale, but I do teach them the importance of body composition and how, 140 pounds can look very different when your body composition is different. So it's a lot of education, but I enjoy it. And when you see their light bulbs in their heads going off about, these relationships and like these correlations that they're making, and you're like, yes, you're understanding. So it's very rewarding at the same time. So
yeah, super, super rewarding to be able to help people in that capacity, which we would never have the chance to do in a corporate setting or in a hospital, in a clinical setting. Like most settings that we work in, we don't get the opportunity to work with people to that capacity. We're stuck to seeing them, maybe 15 minutes if we're lucky, or if we're really, really lucky and we work outpatient, maybe we get to see them 3 or 4 times, but that's it. Like the capacity to really help these people is so much greater when we're able to do it on our own terms, and we get to decide how we want to do that to really help them. And, through that, Laurie, it sounded like you really, really know your ideal client so well. And that is so important when it comes to helping them, when it comes to marketing to them and finding the right people for your programs. It's so very important that we know what their struggles are. We know what they're going through. We know what their deepest, darkest childhood traumas are, because that is how we get people to like us. Like exactly what you said, people will work with you because they like you, because they trust you. They feel like you know them. And so it sounds like you've been able to really excel at all of those things and really know your ideal client and your audience here, which is so important. So as you were getting your business started here, Laurie, did you ever struggle with, not feeling ready to get started, not feeling, ready to take that first client? And if so, what did you do about it?
Yeah, I mean, there are some times where I'm still like, am I capable of doing this? Like, I don't know. But, you gotta fake it till you make it in a way, and not in a way that you're falsely advertising or, over promising and under delivering, but sometimes we know so much and so many specific details of the process of weight loss or whatever it is that your specific niches, that we forget, like, it has to be very simple for them. Like, they are not at the level that we have trained at in terms of like understanding like the biology, the chemistry behind everything. So, I think that is probably one of the biggest obstacles I had, is that I never felt like I was fully ready. And that's why I kept putting it off. But giving myself that deadline basically like pigeonholed me and said, I'm going to do this. I've seen clients here and there on the side, meet them at Starbucks and things like that. So I know I can do it. So everybody else is doing it. I follow all these other dietitians on Instagram that have similar programs and they're able to do it. So what's the difference between her or I? The difference is that she just started accepting clients. And, I don't have a website. I struggled with that too. I remember asking Kaylee, like, should I create a website? Do I get a domain? And, the Stripe, like payment services, like all these things that in time, sure, if you feel like it would benefit your business, but none of those things are really essentially mandatory to get started. Like, you just have to start. You have to have your first client and you already have the knowledge within you. So, that was basically it. I created some very basic documents that I knew that I'd want to use on like maybe my first call with them. I set up on Calendly, like, different booking links for them to book a discovery call with me or book their first one-on-one with me. I put the link, in my Instagram profile where they all follow me at. And, you just start. And once you start, you're like, wow, you get the ball rolling and you create a process, and maybe you like that process. And maybe you are reflecting back and saying, you know what, I think I'm going to change this process. And, for me, because I knew a lot of these clients already through Orange Theory, like some of them, I felt like the discovery call was sort of repetitive because I've spoken to them. I know what their goals are. So you kind of have to break away from like, yes, there is a process that is very streamlined and proven for success, and that's wonderful, but it doesn't always 100% necessarily apply to you in that client in that specific situation. And that's okay. So you deviate and you do what's best for you and the client. But everything through the Freedom Sprint, I still use their documents. I still reflect back on, on different processes and at different points in the process, because, in the beginning you launch and it's like, okay, discovery call, first one-on-one, discovery call, and then you're working through, and then you're like, okay, we're halfway through this program now. I reflect back on the Freedom Sprint workbook and I'm like, okay, what should I be doing at this point in the process? So, again, you want to have all your ducks in a row, but you never will. And I reflect back and think now, like I would change a handful of things from when I first started, and that's okay. I still think that my clients were successful. I still think that based off of like the Google survey that they've completed, that they had a great experience. But that's all part of the process. You learn, you grow, and you just continue to improve upon your programs.
Yeah. And I that's so good. So good to just hear you just reiterate, just take that action, just do it, just get started. Like the fear will come up, the mindset blocks will come up. the struggles, the mind, like that, those things will happen. You know, we will feel those things, especially when getting started, but seeing other people do it and be successful, like as much as I hate to say this, like there's nothing special about them. They're human just like us, you know, like we're all the same.
Yeah.
And so when we see someone else being successful, you know, we can get into our head and well, they had this or they had that, but no, like they're just like us. And if they can do it, we can do it too. And so it's really just taking the initiative and saying, I can do this, and believing that we can. And so that's so good to hear, you know. And I love that you still use the Freedom Sprint workbook, that you still use what we teach, and you still, you know, you see the value in, and even though you've been doing this for several months now, you can still go back and learn new things and refine it and make it better, make your process better, make it faster for you, automate certain things, and just continue to refine that and make it better for the future. So thank you for sharing those things. So for you, Laurie, I know you mentioned that you primarily use Instagram. So tell me, what are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish by using Instagram? Like whether it's connecting with people or growing your audience. Like tell us a little bit about how you use Instagram.
So I created this one, like I said, years ago when I initially contacted Marissa, and I had all these grand plans for, you know, doing this on the side. So over the years, and then becoming, you know, a coach at Orange Theory certainly helped again, gain like a following, but, you know, it's not like I have like the blue official mark on Instagram or 10,000 followers. I think I have slightly over 1,000. And I just create content, you know, I just think about like through conversations with my clients, like what is something that continues to come up? Like, how do I reach 100 grams of protein in a day? Or, you know, honestly, just like simple swaps or Monday, like checklist, you know, it could be, I could film like my food shopping spree, like it's really, and then you poll. Like the great thing about Instagram is that I'm constantly polling. What do you want to see more of? Would you be interested in group programs? Would you be interested in food, a trip to the supermarket together? Because I do have that, again, that ability that most of my clients are local, that we could do that if we wanted to. So I think that Instagram personally for me was just a more comfortable platform for me to work with. I'm much more comfortable in it as opposed to my Facebook, which is more of like my personal page, my family, you know, like I want to keep the two things separate and not have like my aunt from Michigan commenting some random thing on a post that she's not understanding what I'm trying to do here. So I do try to keep it mostly like nutrition related, but I also want to let people know that I'm a real person. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and, you know, I post pictures randomly of my children, and, you know, and it just, that also helps to build rapport and credibility with your clients, because they're like, oh, you know, she's a mom too. I'm a mom. She's able to meal prep, or she's able to cook, and, you know, so I'm just very comfortable with Instagram, and that was complete personal preference. I think whatever you feel more comfortable, whatever platform, you know, you feel like you can be the most productive or successful with is the right one. In my opinion, there's no like right or wrong. But for me, Instagram just happened to be the right one for me.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you too, Laurie, where, you know, it's a little bit of what are you the most comfortable with? It's a little bit of where's your ideal client hanging out and what do they like to use the most? And ultimately it does kind of come down to, you know, what it is you feel you'll be the most successful on and the most consistent with. And a lot of that comes to what you're the most comfortable with too. And so, you know, there's so much we can do on Instagram and on Facebook. And those are kind of the two primary ones right now. I know, you know, TikTok's out there and there's other LinkedIn, like there's so many different types of social media. And of course, someday when, for some of us, we want to be on all of those things, but especially when we're starting, it's really good to just pick the one that we're the most comfortable with and just go with it and build that consistency. Like what you were saying, Laurie, just be consistent on it. Post about business, post a little bit about your life, get people to know a little bit more about you and who you are as a person. And that's what really gets them to like and to trust you, to be able to move forward and work with you too. And so I love that you've got, a little bit of both of those types of posts and content on your Instagram. And, so I know some people who are watching, that's a very common question I get when starting the business, and especially getting onto social media, is, well, how do I keep my very personal life personal and my business, and how do I separate the two? And there's of course a little bit of a gray area, because like you were saying, Laurie, you want your audience to know that you're pregnant again, that you go to the store and you cook and you're meal prep and you do all of these things, and you're a fitness coach. Like, you want people to know those things. And so that's a little bit of personal, that's a little bit of business. But Instagram, much easier than Facebook, allows you that ability to more or less separate the two. Facebook, it's a little bit more challenging to do so, and to do so successfully, although people do, don't get me wrong, people do it. But Instagram's a really good platform for that, because I know a lot of people, value that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, where are my ideal clients hanging out? What am I comfortable with? And so I love that you picked that based on those things. So tell us, Laurie, I know a few of us are dying to know, how many clients are you working with now, and how does it feel to work, with them on your own terms?
Yes. So, like I said, I am pregnant again. So, from launch, so I did launch, April 1st was my launch date. And I basically gained 14 clients. I enrolled 14 clients within, I would say, the first 4 to 6 weeks. And so again, like we keep saying, everything is like a, trial and error and like a learning curve here. I created my program so that it's a 12-week program. For the first 6 weeks, I was meeting with them weekly. So obviously we could all do the math, 14 clients weekly, that's 14 hours I'm spending in my office. I would block out 1 hour. Again, that was something that, reflecting back, I think that I would minimize the timing, like maybe the initial 60 minutes, but all the follow-ups after that are 30 minutes or less. But yeah, so I quickly built up to 14 clients within, like I said, the first 4 to 6 weeks. And so it was booming. It was, it was a lot busier than I initially expected it to be, which again is, most people are like, oh, you're so lucky, which is great. Yes, I agree. It was a blessing. And I'm so grateful that people, really trusted me with their journey. But it also was a learning curve for me, whereas like, hey, listen, like I signed on because I want to make more money and work less hours. So let's sort of regroup. And that's like also, again, how like Kaylee and the Freedom Sprint comes into such a huge help in this process, because, they've been working with so many clients. So I was able to like reflect and sort of get feedback, like, how can I make this work better for me? And there was a few options presented, and it was charge more, it was condensed to a group program. Like there was all these different options, that it wasn't just like a dead end. Like there is so much more opportunity when you feel like, oh gosh, like, did I pigeonhole myself in the situation now? And I would be working, if I want to make X amount of money, I need 20 clients a month. And, so again, it was great. 14 clients, amazing. Like I said, 12 weeks. So I still have about 3 of those initial 14 clients still enrolled in the program, that they're approaching their last few meetings with me. But in the interim, meeting with Kaylee in between, I said, you know what, let me create a group program, because the other obstacle I'm coming into play now is I'm having a baby in October. So I don't want to commit to 12 weeks with these clients. And God forbid I have a baby earlier than expected, or I'm just not feeling well. So we decided, you know what, the best thing for me at this point is to condense to a group program. And we're going to make it 8 weeks long instead of 12. And that would hopefully set me up to get to September, October, and just, again, because it's the beauty of having your own business, you can sort of just say, hey guys, I'm going to be out for a few weeks, but I will return with a group program on X date. Or I will open up a limited number of spaces for one-to-ones in November. And of course, we all know January is going to be a hot month for anybody because everyone's New Year's resolution. So it was wonderful. I came out of the gate guns blazing, which was amazing. I was able to make $12,000 in 2 months, which, again, like, if I was able to maintain that without knowing that I'm having babies very shortly, that would equate to, over a 12-month period, that would equate to something comparable to my full-time job that I am not working full-time hours at. So I forget the initial question now. I just went off on this tangent.
No, that was perfect.
But yes, so I had 14 one-on-one clients. Currently, I'm doing a group program, and there's 5 clients in there now. And I have given my graduates the opportunity, because a lot of them, while it's funny, like up front, they're like, ooh, the money, it's a lot. Let me see how I could work this out. Now that they're graduated and they're done with their program, now they're like, well, I can't just not see you now. Like, how am I going to hold myself accountable? So I gave them the option of a monthly membership. So for $99 a month, they still get access to me. They can still email me. I've created an Excel accountability spreadsheet for them to fill out and send back to me. So while I'm not meeting with them one-on-one, I'm still able to check their progress on a weekly basis. They just email it to me. We've created a Google group chat with all of the graduates. And they have the opportunity, if they'd like, to join the group call every Wednesday evening. Again, optional. They're paying for it. So if they want to hop on, they can. I'm going to be there regardless, because I do have my other clients that are newly enrolled in the group program. So it's sort of a hybrid of the graduates and the newbies, but it's also like very interesting to see how a lot of the information is repetitive for the graduates, but yet it's great for the newbies to see their success. And then they just start, sometimes I sit back and they just start talking about recipes and like what worked really well for them and menus and going out to dinner. And it really creates like a community vibe. So I love that Kaylee was, gave me that option of like that monthly membership. And then, plus the group program is a one-time flat fee. So it's a mixture of everything. And like I said, like, this is just, it's a learning curve. So I have like my hands a little bit in everything: one-on-ones, group, monthly memberships. And eventually, I think over time, I will probably drill down. But for right now, this is working for me. It's working for my family. It allows me the flexibility and the time to be with them, but it also is giving me an income that I wouldn't have had on regularly. So,
yeah, awesome. That, first off, congrats on 12K in 2 months. Like, that's absolutely phenomenal. Like, that's amazing. I'm so excited for you to be able to build that up and to work with these people like how you want to. And also, you talked a lot in there about how you're working with them for how they'll get the results, like the group members, they kind of take the reins and they do their own thing too. And, they're getting good results and they're very happy. But also so are you, because now that you are able to essentially sell out your one-on-one, like you're full, like you're like, I'm too full. I don't want to take more one-on-ones. What's next? And so, that's when we got to sit down together and really decide what that next option looks like for you. Because much like our clients that we see, our nutrition clients, everyone has different scenarios. Everyone has slightly different goals, different options that work for them, different life and family situations. And so does everyone when we start our business too. We all have different business goals that we want to hit. We have different work hour goals that we want to hit. We have different family needs that we want to hit too. And so everyone looks a little bit different. And that's why it was so good to sit down with you and decide, well, what does Laurie need? Because what you needed was different, compared to the next person that I talked to that day. And so it's so good to hear that you've been able to make this what you want it to be, but also still get your clients the results that they're looking for the long term too. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with that. Now, I'm just curious, you don't take insurance, right? This is all cash pay?
This is all cash pay.
Yeah. And how do you get people to pay all of that? To get to $12,000 cash pay, no insurance.
Yeah. So, again, like going back to one of your initial questions was like, how did you feel like you were ready? Like I was very timid at first asking people for that much money. And I remember you saying like, no, you got to go higher. You got to go higher. And you're still telling me to go higher. And, now I get it because it is time consuming and there's a lot of in between like content creation and, a lot of things that go on in between. You have some clients that are literally texting me or messaging me like constantly. And some are very self-sufficient, yeah. So it was cash and, I didn't initially say, hey, we have payment plan options up front. I wanted to obviously like, hey, this is the price. And then if they were a little bit hesitant or, if they didn't seem to catch on immediately, then I would lead in and say, we have payment options available. So whatever you're comfortable with. And so, yes, ideally, I'd rather the payment up front for sure. Anybody I think would, but I have to say, actually the financial spreadsheet that is available on the Freedom Sprint, that's like my best friend. Like it's pulled up on my laptop 24 hours a day because I just love to see all the numbers coming through. But it allows you to very carefully track all of your intake, your income, and the system where like people are on payment plans, they're in like a different color than people who paid in full. And it lays everything out so nicely for you. And honestly, right now, I'm still doing it through cash or Venmo. I haven't even set up a Stripe payment account yet because all of my clients didn't seem to have any issues with Venmo or cash. So again, that's like knock on wood. That's just something that has been very lucky for me. But yeah, it's been cash and, not a whole lot of people have come back to say like, oh, I just can't afford it. I have people that pay me $100 a week, like, cause that's all they could pay me, but they're consistent. Like I'm never chasing anybody for money. When in their follow-up emails, I'll just kindly write at the bottom, like your current balance is X, Y, and Z, but it has not been an issue so far. Everybody has been very, very respectful of like paying on time, even if it's a month, if it's a payment plan, and, they're grateful that it could be a payment plan too, which listen, money is money, whether you get it in January, February, or March, you're still going to get it. So, yeah, it hasn't been so much of a struggle as maybe you would think it would be.
Yeah. And I love that you don't have to chase people down for it either. That's so important. And that just shows how much they value your time and they value you. You know, when we have to start chasing people down, it usually means that they're not getting the value of it and they don't want it anymore. But the fact that people are happily paying you $100 a week, because that's all they can do, but they do it without question. They do it without you having to chase them down is huge. That's so huge. And so I think that's amazing that you've been able to do all of this cash pay and not have to, you know, deal with insurance, because insurance will still kind of cap us on what we can even do and what we get reimbursed and what they're able to see us for. And so you're able to get those people the real results that they really need to. So I know everyone's feeling inspired by you. And as we kind of wrap up here, Laurie, I have a couple more questions for you. But as we wrap up, if anyone has any questions for Laurie, go ahead and throw them in the chat there, so we can ask Laurie some more questions. But and I don't know, you know, this question might go without asking, but you know, I think it's good to ask anyways. But would you recommend the Freedom Sprint program to other dietitians or health coaches?
100%. 100%. I mean, I don't think, and my husband always asks me, like, do you think you could have done this without like making that large investment? And not that it's not that large, but you know, it is an investment, and it was something that we needed to discuss together because we do have a growing family. But I don't think I would have ever done it because, like I said, years ago, I reached out to Marissa and I never did it. And I started my Instagram account and I started, you know, promoting myself and creating content, but I never launched. I never did anything about it. I never like looked a little bit further into like, how do I create a program? So if you're like on that fence and you're just still a little nervous, you don't feel like you're capable, or you don't know the first few steps to take, like 100% recommend it.
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned a really good point there that made me think it's that accountability piece that's so important too, of like not knowing what the next steps are. And sometimes just doing something like this, you finally commit and you say, I will do this, because in the past I've said I would, but I never did anything official. And so nothing ever got started. And for us to be able to attract clients in our own nutrition business that are that way, we have to invest in ourselves and commit to something like this. Because think about it, your clients, your ongoing members, they're paying you $99 a month to just stick with you for the accountability, because they know if they were to walk away and go do it on their own, they wouldn't stick with it. And so just like we want to attract those people to us to be able to, you know, pay us $99 a month, we need to be able to do that for ourselves, for our own personal growth too. Otherwise we won't attract those people and we won't get good clients either.
Right. You're asking clients to do something that you're not even willing to do for yourself. So it's just like, you know, it just, I don't know. It makes perfect sense to have somebody, you know, who's had a proven track record with success in this process, show me the way.
Yeah. And you more than doubled your investment back, right? Like,
oh yeah, almost tripled at this point. So yeah.
Yeah. So it all works out in the end. Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. So let's see. So I know Kim had a question. She said, maybe this has already been asked, but how are you running your membership site?
So I do everything through Google platform right now. So I do, like I said, our group chat, which going back to like choosing Instagram versus Facebook, it's funny because when I created this group program, I initially said I would have a private Facebook group, thinking maybe I'll start incorporating the Facebook platform. When I pulled the group, it was interesting to me that not a lot of them go on Facebook. They're like, well, I have an account. Like I'll go on if we start a group, but like, I don't always check it. So then that's what made me think to myself, I use Google Meet for our meetings. You know, I use Calendly for making appointments. So I just said, you know what, let's keep it all Google and just do a Google chat. So they downloaded the app and it has all the same capabilities as a Facebook private group has. We post recipes, you can attach documents, you can attach, you can give tasks out, like assign tasks to certain people. It's really, there's so many capabilities with like all of the Google platforms. So right now that is what I'm using for everything. And then, like I said, payment is either Venmo or, they'll write me a check or cash, but mostly Venmo.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's super helpful. Shoot, even I learned some stuff. I always learn. I love it. I love talking to you guys because I always learn so much more than I already knew. So awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Kim, for asking that question. So one more question for you, Laurie, as we finish up here. But this one, I want to hear it, and I'm sure everyone else in here is really excited to hear what you have to say for this question. But what is the best advice that you would give to dietitians who are wanting to either start, or maybe they've started but they're wanting to grow their business and their practice?
Well, for those who want to but have not, I think you need to get out of your own head and you just need to start. Because like that was my biggest obstacle from the get-go. If you could take anything away from all of my off tangent conversations today, like I was just so scared to get started. I was scared I was going to fail. I was scared that I was going to, talk up a big game and just sort of have it fizzle, because that's really what has happened in the past. So I think that if you know that you are 100% committed to growing a business and knowing the potential that it can provide for you, obviously enrolling in the Freedom Sprint program, like catapulted things for me. I still use like the private Facebook to get feedback from people. Like it's a lifelong connection and you have the information at your fingertips. So if you are just the slight bit nervous of starting, I think you just need to start. Make that investment in yourself. And then if you're looking to scale your business and grow because you've been on your own right now, I just, me personally, like there's only so many ideas I can come up with, but knowing that there's so many other people that have been in my position that Kaylee has worked with. And, I would have never thought of coming up with like a monthly membership program idea or condensing or, oh, now it's time to charge more, Laurie. Like now it's time to add $300 to that program fee. And I'm like, really? I could do that? Like, yeah, of course. So if you're stagnant, like there's always more out there and we don't necessarily have the answer ourselves. So like I said, you're asking these clients to trust in you and invest in your program, but you gotta, to make money, you have to spend money, and that money is really on yourself and on your professional growth, your personal growth. So I definitely think being a part of this program, for sure catapulted my success.
Awesome. So good. I love that. Every second of it. So amazing. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Laurie, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be here and to chat with me and to inspire all of these other dietitians in here who are wanting to or thinking about starting or growing their practice. I mean, shoot, you inspired me today. And so I know that there's someone out there who's also feeling equally inspired too. So just thank you so much for taking time to do this with all of us. And so if anyone has any other additional questions for Laurie, go ahead and throw them in the chat and we'll get to them at some point. If we missed you, if you're watching the replay of this and you have questions, don't hesitate to throw it in the chat and I'll make sure either I see it or Laurie gets it, and we'll answer your guys' questions. But thank you again, Laurie. And thank you everyone who was here and who was watching.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right, everyone. Well, thank you. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And thank you, Laurie, again.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for watching the show. I know your time is super valuable, and I know that you're here to learn how to grow a successful practice. So I have something special just for you. If you are a health expert who is in business or aspiring to be, and you're curious about how to grow a profitable, impactful practice, you're going to want to pay attention. Because as a person who is watching the show, I want you to win. So I've created a bundle of resources exclusively for those who are watching the Practice Revolution. So if you are tired of trying to figure out this game of business, marketing, and sales all on your own, and you're ready to implement what's already proven to work rather than reinventing the wheel, you're going to want to send us a private message on Instagram at The Practice Revolution. And simply just let us know that you watched this show, and we'll personally hand over $7,000 worth of trainings, resources, and coaching that is available only for those who are watching this show on YouTube. So if you want to know how to increase your income, impact, and build a practice that works for the lifestyle that you want and that serves your family at the highest level, send us a private message on Instagram at The Practice Revolution. Do it now so you can win big in your practice and in your life. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next show.